What if the most dangerous beings in history were never meant to be on Earth? Not demons, not monsters, not creatures hiding in the dark. Something else. Think about it. Almost every ancient civilization tells the same strange story. Beings descended from the sky. They appeared among humans. They changed everything. And then, something went terribly wrong. The Sumerians spoke of them. Ancient Greece spoke of them. The Book of Enoch speaks of them. Different cultures, different continents, different centuries. Yet somehow, the same pattern appears again and again. Visitors, knowledge, rebellion, catastrophe. Why? Were these stories inspired by a single forgotten event? Or were ancient people trying to explain something they did not understand? Because the most unsettling part isn't that these beings came from the heavens. It is what happened after they arrived. According to some of the oldest texts ever written, humanity was never the same again. And why do so many ancient texts insist that they broke a law older than humanity itself? To understand that, we must begin with a story hidden between the pages of Genesis. What if one of the oldest stories ever written was never supposed to survive? Think about it. If powerful beings truly rebelled against heaven, why would humanity know about it at all? Why would any record remain? Why would the story still exist thousands of years later? Yet scattered across ancient texts, hidden between fragments of forgotten books, a strange narrative appears again and again. Not demons, not gods, something in between. Beings who were never meant to walk among humans. According to ancient accounts, they descended from the heavens, but here's the mystery. The texts never describe them as monsters. At first, they arrived with knowledge, secrets, skills humanity did not possess. They taught, they revealed, they changed civilization. So why were they later called fallen? What happened between their arrival and their condemnation? Because somewhere in that missing part of the story lies the reason ancient writers feared them, and perhaps the reason many of those writings were forgotten. But before we can understand why they fell, we must answer a far stranger question. Were they ever supposed to come here at all? What if the real danger? Was it never the beings themselves? What if the danger was knowledge? Think about it. Throughout history, rulers have hidden knowledge, religions have protected knowledge, entire civilizations have built walls around knowledge. Why? Because knowledge changes people. According to ancient texts, the fallen angels taught humanity things it was never meant to know. Not simple skills, not farming, not language, secrets, knowledge that ancient writers believed belonged to heaven alone. But here's the strange part. The texts never explain why that knowledge was forbidden. Was it dangerous? Was it powerful? Or was humanity simply not ready for it? Imagine giving a child the controls of a machine they cannot understand. The machine itself is not evil, but the consequences can be. And perhaps that is what frightened the ancient authors, not the knowledge, but what humans would do with it. Because once a secret is revealed, it can never be hidden again. And according to these ancient accounts, the world changed the moment those secrets were shared. But if knowledge was the reason they were condemned, then another question appears. Who decided humanity wasn't supposed to have it? And what exactly were the fallen angels trying to reveal? Here's the question nobody asks. If the fallen angels were only a myth, why did so many civilizations remember them? Think about it. Empires disappeared, languages vanished, entire cities were swallowed by history. Yet one strange idea survived. Something came down from above. Something changed humanity. And something went terribly wrong. The details are different, the names change, the cultures are separated by oceans and centuries. Yet the pattern remains. Why? Ancient people forgot countless stories. Why keep this one? Why preserve it generation after generation? unless they believed it wasn't a story. Imagine witnessing something you could not explain, something beyond everything you knew. How would you describe it? Would you call it an angel, a god, a visitor, or would you simply tell your children and hope they never forget? Maybe that is what happened. Maybe the oldest legends are not memories of fantasy. Maybe they are attempts to explain an event nobody truly understood. Because sometimes, the strangest part of a mystery is not the event itself. It's the fact that people kept talking about it for thousands of years. But if these stories were memories, then we still haven't answered the biggest question of all. What exactly happened after the fallen angels arrived? There is another possibility, one that almost nobody talks about. What if the fallen angels never gave humanity anything? What if they only awakened something that was already there? Think about it. Every civilization has produced extraordinary people. Builders, thinkers, inventors, visionaries. People capable of creating things that seemed impossible to everyone around them. Why? Because perhaps human beings were never empty. Perhaps the ability to discover, to create, to understand was always part of who we are. Then why do ancient stories keep returning to the same idea? Why do they speak of knowledge descending from the heavens? Maybe because ancient people struggled with the same question we struggle with today. Where does inspiration come from? Why can one person see what thousands of others cannot? Why does a single idea sometimes appear and change the course of history? Was it a gift? A talent? A spark placed within humanity from the very beginning? Or was it something else entirely? Because the deeper you look into the story of the fallen angels, the less it becomes a story about angels, and the more it becomes a story about us, about human potential, about curiosity, about the desire to know things we were never meant to know, or perhaps things we were always meant to discover. But if the story was never really about the angels, then why were they blamed? And what exactly happened that turned them into the villains of the story? Every story has a strange detail, one detail that doesn't quite fit. In the story of the fallen angels, it is the punishment. Think about it. Ancient texts describe wars, kings, empires, murder, betrayal, yet few punishments are described with the same severity. Why? Why was crossing that boundary considered such a serious crime? What made it different? Was it disobedience or was it interference? Imagine a world where every living thing follows a design, a purpose, a place. Then imagine someone deciding to change that design, not destroy it, change it. Could that be the real reason? Because the ancient texts never focus on power, they focus on consequences, again and again. The warning is not, look how powerful they were. The warning is, look what happened after. And perhaps that is the detail most people miss. The story is not really about rebellion. It is about crossing limits, limits that existed for a reason. But here's the mystery. Nobody explains where those limits were. Nobody tells us exactly what was forbidden. Only that once it happened, the world could never return to what it was before. But if a boundary was broken, then one final question remains. Was the punishment meant for the fallen angels, or was it meant as a warning to humanity? After all these centuries, the mystery still remains. Did the fallen angels really exist? Perhaps, perhaps not, but maybe. That was never the most important question. Think about it. Every generation has been fascinated by the same thing: forbidden knowledge, hidden secrets, power, the desire to know more, to go further, to cross the line. And maybe that is why this story survived, not because it tells us about angels, but because it tells us about ourselves, because every human being eventually faces the same temptation. The temptation to believe that there are no limits, that wisdom alone is enough, that knowledge always leads to good. But ancient writers seem to disagree. Again and again, they return to the same warning. Not all doors should be opened, not all questions have harmless answers, and not every mystery wants to be solved. Yet humanity keeps searching. We always have, and perhaps we always will. Which brings us back to the beginning. Maybe the story of the fallen angels was never preserved to explain the past. Maybe it survived to warn the future. So perhaps the question was never, did the fallen angels come to earth? Perhaps the real question is, if they did, why are we still talking about them thousands of years later? And what is it that they wanted us to remember?